So today I had a question that I wanted to talk to you about, which is why should someone care if God exists or not? Is this something that we need to actually, as human beings, we need to be concerned with? Some people just go through their lives without worrying about it. They just go about their lives and they grow up, they get married, they have jobs, they grow old, they die, and they don't care. They don't worry about it. Does it matter?
Well, of course it matters. The first point to answer this question is that what it means to start with to have any concept of God. What does it mean? So if you have a concept of God, it means you have a concept of worship. Because God means somebody that you worship. All right? So the question is, hence, what is the meaning of worship? So to worship somebody or something is essentially to follow their instructions. So when people essentially say that they worship God or they have a God, when I say I have a God in my life, it means that it's not just a name, right? It means I have a God. It means I have somebody whom I worship.
Okay.
And how do you worship a God is that you, number one, understand his instructions, and number two, you live by his instructions, or you can call it you live by his guidance. Okay? So then the question becomes, is it possible for a human being, in principle, to live without worshiping? So if there is a human being who can remain human without worshiping, this becomes a question.
Okay.
But the human condition itself is not possible to exist without worshiping. Because why? Because we as an organism, as a biological being, we cannot live in vacuum. And since you cannot live in vacuum, you have surroundings. You have needs. You have others who will live with you to cooperate to bring about those needs.
Which makes the society.
And which makes a society. And then in a society, at the end of the day, somebody has to put the rules, right or not?
Yeah.
So you live in a society, regardless what the society is. Let's say it's a very tribal society, okay? Let's say it's a very civilized society. Let's say it's a farming society. It's a fishing society. Somebody is putting the rules. And if you accept the rules from this person or this entity or this class, you're essentially worshipping them. Right? In terms of what is the definition of worship, okay? So let me give you a very simple example, okay? You're living in a tribe, okay? And the tribe says that if you are born, for example, from that specific class, then you have to live this kind of life. Okay?
Like the caste system in Hinduism, for example.
For example, if you are born from this class, you live poor. If you're born from this class, you're a warrior. It's like a beehive, okay? You are a male, and then you are, taking care of this and that, okay? You're a queen, then you're born a queen, you do this and that. But the bee is following the rules that are set to it from its creator. It understands what it should do. But the human being will then have one of two choices. He says, this is inhumane, I'm not going to accept this. Okay? I have a right to do this. I have a right to be better. Okay? It means you are revolting against worshipping a preset rule. Okay? You don't like the tribal system altogether. I want to live with another tribe. I don't like this place. Okay? I don't like to be a nomad. I like to live in a city. Okay? But then you go, for example, to another place, which is a farming place, and then you find a completely different set of rules. When you should wake up, when you should go to sleep, you should do this to earn a living, you should do this to cooperate with people, and you find that there are things like feudism. You find that if you are a landlord, there are things that you can do and don't, and if you are just a paid farmer, there are other things. So then we go back to the same question. Who has the right to set the rules? And in this case, you will find maybe three answers. Number one, I set the rules, which I think very, 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 very few amount of people can say. And even those who say, I set the rules, do you really set the rules is the question.
You only set the rules within a certain circle.
You cannot determine that you will not breathe, you cannot drink, you will not eat, you will not...
You might just decide when to wake up and when to go to bed.
You cannot decide not to age. There are so many, really our span of... So even when you say, because people will not really accept your rules then it will become, how will I enforce my rules? And the few people in history who tried to do this really had either they cause complete catastrophes or they meet their demise. So, and the second one is that you say there are no rules altogether. And probably the only way is that you go and you live in the forest alone or something, and you're right, you're an outcast.
What about I mean, people live in societies like atheists and agnostics. They live within our societies. They abide by the rules that the governments put in place, which is actually meant to organize the society so that chaos does not reign. But this is completely detached in their mind from any god, or whether or not there is a god altogether, and whether or not there is a purpose for this life, and whether or not there's any consequence to it after it's over. What would you say to someone like this to make them want to know the answer to the question whether or not God exists? To make them want to know why they're here, what their purpose is, and what happens when they leave here, when they leave this life. What would you say to them?
I will say three things. Number one, you need to realize that you are in the third group. So you're not setting the rules and you're not a complete outcast. Even if you're an outcast, you are still under the rules of nature. But you're in the third group, which is you will follow the rule of the land. So number one, they need to realize that they are worshipping other people. They have to realize this. And it is almost impossible that you are living in a society where you are accepting 100% of the rules, even if you are a lawmaker. Because what do lawmakers do? They dispute and discuss about rules. So you're a socialist, you're living under a libertarian government, you're not liking it. You're liberal, but you're living under a far-right government, but you're not liking it. You're a far-right, and it's the midway government, you don't like it.
Compromise.
Yeah. You don't like paying that much taxes if you're rich. You don't like receiving that much government support if you're poor. So, but there's somebody putting the rules, and you are abiding to it. So this is number one. Now the question is, do you care about freedom or you don't care about freedom? For this life, this is number one. So if you care about freedom, absolute freedom is not possible because we live within the boundaries of preset things. But what is the maximum level of freedom that a person can have? So let's consider an organization, for example. So you're in a company, okay? Your position in the company, which is determined by who is your boss, determines your level of freedom, okay? So if you are 10 levels down in the hierarchy, you have a very small level of freedom. For a clerical job or something. And when two people have a dispute, it's a matter of my boss is stronger than your boss. If my boss is stronger than your boss, I win. Even if you're the president of the place, the republic or the CEO, you still report to the board. You're a president of a country. There's still the people. And when you believe in God, you're essentially reporting to the highest authority in the universe, which gives you the highest level of power at the end of the day. Maybe the others do not realize it, but you realize it. So the people who are really free in this world are the people who worship God. It might look counterintuitive to people who do not understand what it means to worship God. But to people who understand what it means to worship God and who know God, they know that this is ultimate freedom. Why? It is because any set of rules put by any group of people, even by you, yourself, because you will grow older, you'll grow richer, you'll grow poorer, after some times, even the rules that you put yourself, you will not like them, you will want to change them. Even any set of rules that you accept at a point of time, and then somebody enforces, you do not like the enforcement. Because there is always bias. Humans are biased. When the rich put the rules, the rich reduce taxes on the rich. When the poor put the rules, like what happened in communism, for example, they completely destroyed the upper class. There is no more people who own. And then everybody suffers. So, to reach the utmost level of balance between a good life and a free life, we have to have all one lawmaker who puts completely unbiased system of life that will produce this balance between order and freedom. So we are not anarchists and we are not in a prison. Okay? And the only way that there is an entity who does that is that if this entity is completely unhuman, it's completely outside of the human ecosystem, has no interest with it, nobody can harm it, nobody can give it benefit. Okay? It's just, and it is benevolent and good. And this is essentially the definition of God for people who worship God. Why am I going to follow God's guidance without a second thought after I have resolved that there is God and He is worthy of worship and I know Him and I know His religion? Why do I not need to do second thoughts for every single instruction? Because I see that these are His attributes. He's not doing this because there is a trick. He's not telling me this because there is something hidden that, he's making benefit from a back door or a kickback here or there. All right? So number one, do you care about freedom or not? And number two, do you care about truth or not? This is a major question.